do it live. Alright, we are live.
Hello, I'm Matt Bergman, and you are listening to the Punk Rock Libertarians Podcast, episode 242. I'm here tonight with Jared Schneiderman.
What up?
Phil Dassing.
What's going on?
Kyle Wagner.
Hey guys.
And Crystal Woodward.
How's it going?
Yeah, so Crystal, you're the vice chairman of the Maryland Libertarian Party, correct?
Chairperson.
Chairperson? Is that, has the title been changed? No, is there an official title? Wouldn't it be, is it chairman or?
Just vice chair.
Oh, it's just vice
Way to go,
chair.
you
Okay.
fucking bigot.
What? Dude, I was just curious about the official title, man. You need to settle down.
Point of personal privilege, okay?
He's forever triggered. Yeah.
Should we
So,
forever making fun of him?
Yeah, so just formal introductions, and this is your second time on the podcast?
Yes.
Thanks for coming back on.
Thanks for having me.
Cool. So I take it, there was an election on Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
In Kentucky, and from what I gather, the sitting governor was Republican, and he got beat out by a Democrat.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It was, I'm just going from memory. I don't know if this was the final count, but it was 709,000 to 704,000 votes for the Democrat, and the Libertarian candidate got 28,000. So, of course, a lot of Republicans were upset that that the Republican governor lost. And this governor, I don't know that much about him. It was Matt Blevins. He had some connection to libertarians in the past. I don't know exactly what those connections were, but they say he was a fairly libertarian-leaning or decent for governor as far as Republicans go. So
was he a Weldian?
No, he wasn't a Weldian. I'm not. Again, I shouldn't really speak to it that much, but my friend TJ who lives in Kentucky.
Oh yeah, he was.
TJ Roberts
cool.
is I would say a libertarian activist, more from the Paul era. But he was big in supporting Rand and Ron. But he was really upset about it, and a lot of Republicans were upset about it. The Libertarians cost the Republican the election, and then the Libertarian Party of Kentucky made a post about how,
Cringe.
as part of their post was fine. They did criticize the things that Blevins did wrong. I guess he had raised sales taxes, and that's the main thing I remember. But we're saying that he wasn't that. He did a lot of things that they didn't agree with. But then they got
sales taxes.
Yeah, but
do we know what they went from where to where?
No, I don't know. But
because it's with sales taxes, isn't anyone in Maryland? It's 6%, right?
Yeah.
And then I guess a decade ago they raised it from 5 to 6, right? Something like that.
And I thought that was
yeah. So that's a 20% increase in sales tax. So just raising sales tax a penny, can be a pretty dramatic increase, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know how much he raised it, but yeah. And I thought that was a Republican governor that did that. Was that in Maryland? Anybody know? Remember, was it O'Malley?
It was O'Malley that did that.
Okay, never mind. Yeah, it was a Democrat. Yeah, that was a brutal one. They also raised our sales taxes on alcohol from 6 to 9. So, but anyway, yeah. So, Libertarian Party of Kentucky made this post about how they didn't give a shit, and the Republican tears were delicious. That's what they said. Your tears are delicious. And then
the fucking teenager wrote that.
I was offended by it, and then Nick Sarwark shared it, and then I commented on the Libertarian Party of Kentucky's post, and I was like, "Are there any mature adults in the LP?" And I got 60 likes on that comment.
Wow, dude! Congrats.
Thank you. I'm just saying, there's a lot of people that agree.
Did you say you won Facebook that day?
I just think a lot of people agree that it was an immature post. But I do think libertarians are split on it. Crystal liked the post. I thought
it was great.
She thought it was great. It's like rubbing a little dirt in their eye or whatever.
95% of that post was not childish. It was just
that one part.
It was just the last 2 lines, and I thought it was funny. I thought it was deserved because Democrats and Republicans both think that we owe them our vote.
Right.
And that bugs me, so I like it.
Yeah, it was kind of like a punk rock fuck you, right?
A little bit. It was. I just thought that the fact that they only got 28,000 votes, that they lost in a complete landslide, and that the people of Kentucky are now left with a progressive Democrat, a big government Democrat, as opposed to a not as bad Republican.
Do we know that he's not as bad?
I guess the guy's dad was the former governor, the guy that won. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. I think on paper the Democrat is worse.
Okay.
But anyway,
volume's not working again. What?
Hang on, time
It says
out.
the only one sounds normal is me, but that's usual. I'm always normal.
You lose volume?
I don't know. I'm seeing volume on here. It says feedback in the mic static. That's what Schlegel just posted.
Yeah.
This sound is what fucking up.
It was working.
I think it's
before.
the government. They just don't like what we're saying. This is some type of psyop or something.
Yeah, probably.
Way to go, Kyle. All right.
Move some of that stuff off the soundboard and make sure everything's plugged in.
Yeah, we can do this after the podcast.
Yeah. Okay. Should we keep going with no sound?
Well, we're recording, so the listeners will hear it.
Hey,
All right.
you guys can look this shit up later, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All you need to hear is me.
So,
Anyway,
okay. Yeah. Where are we at?
we were talking about Kentucky and talking about the Republican mentality that, that their candidate was entitled to those votes, which the Libertarians do have a point that they're not, the Republican isn't owed those votes, and even if there wasn't a Libertarian candidate, it's no guarantee that he would have won that election. I mean, people from both sides will vote Libertarian sometimes. So, it is what it is. You have to win the race.
Yeah. All right. So, well, I mean, what do you think about the whole idea of, well, if it wasn't for the Libertarian guy, the Republican would have won? I mean, do you think they would have voted Republican, or do you think I mean, the thing is, you can only assert that, right? I mean, you can't prove that. It's a counterfactual. You don't know how those people would have voted otherwise.
Yeah.
So getting mad about that, I mean, honestly, if they're getting mad about it, that just shows that, you have a weak candidate. If you have to worry about another candidate stealing their votes, in quotes.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that the Republican mindset and a lot of people's mindset is that Republicans are closer to Libertarians than Democrats. At least
they're not though.
I know, it's furthest from the truth.
I guess it's debatable. I mean, at least they're.
It really depends on who it is.
They don't have as much of an anti-capitalism rhetoric. That low taxes go over better with Republican audiences, but on other issues, the Democrats are better. So
Right.
or closer to it. So yeah, it really does. It really does depend. You're exactly right.
Well, honestly, I feel like
there's a spectrum of Republican candidates, all the way from like your neocon hawks, who none of us can stand, to guys that really aren't that bad. I think, like Walter Jones or something from North Carolina, one congressman. I mean, there's Republicans that are all along the spectrum.
Problem is, it's really hard to do the math because, I mean, you get someone like AOC, right? And like 90% of what she's saying is just like the opposite of libertarianism.
Yeah.
But then there's like some percentage which is like really cool, like anything about the drug war, or I think she's pretty much a dove when it comes to foreign intervention.
Yeah.
So it's like, but then if you were to take like, let's say like a centrist Democrat, they're going to be more capitalist in a sense, but they're also going to probably not be that great on drugs. Probably, I mean, Biden still wants it to be like fucking illegal to smoke weed. So it's like, who would you rather have?
Even issue by issue, like, okay, just take it as a whole person. Like, if you have to choose between, say, Tulsi and Rick Santorum, like, who are you going with? Most libertarians are going with Tulsi.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there is some overlap where the best Democrats are better than the worst Republicans.
Right.
In my opinion.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just to piggyback on that, I don't like the mentality of people thinking like, oh, well, we somehow caused it. Like, no, it was your bad candidates, and I will say that the Kentucky LP did say that they weren't going to run. They wouldn't run anybody if the candidate wasn't bad on certain things. And I read some things here and there what he was bad on. I forget exactly what it was, but at the same time, though, I didn't think the whole.
We can always make assertions. Go ahead.
Pretty much. But that's all I want to say.
They could have done a better job if they just took out some of the delicious tears and
that
the
was
bloating
kind of cringy.
and made like a thoughtful post about how Blevins had all these transgressions and did all this stuff that they didn't agree with and just stuck to the facts and been like, look, he wasn't a good candidate, so we felt like we had to offer the people a better choice. That would have been a better thing. Instead, they come across as childish, and all of a sudden it detracts from the point that they're trying to make, that he wasn't a good candidate, that he had failings. Instead people are just going to they're going to bristle. They're going to be like, oh, you guys just played spoiler and you're happy about it, and now we got this shitty Democrat. Way to
right,
go.
it's like, did you do it? Like that post, like at least the end of that post kind of implies that it was just done just to troll, essentially.
Exactly.
Just to like, look what we did.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas if you take the high road and you say, hey, we wanted to give the people a better option, and then the Republicans have to think about it and really think about who they're choosing to run and who their candidates
Yeah, I like
are.
the idea, and I think it was Joshua.
But like, I mean, when you think about it, though, like, how many people did the Republican candidate take away from the Libertarian candidate? You know what I mean? Because, like, if the Republicans weren't running, the Libertarian might have won,
Oh, sure, yeah.
Right,
if you think
that's
about
true.
it that way.
Yeah,
That's
we would have won if you Republicans hadn't run the candidate.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah.
Well, I think it was Joshua Smith on Dave Smith, and he was talking about how part of running a Libertarian candidate is to keep. Obviously, there's always like an intent to try and win, right? But in some scenarios, it's just not going to happen, at least not yet. So one of the things that it does is it can keep the Republican candidates and even the Democratic candidates sort of honest and sort of steer their policies a little bit if they see that the Libertarian is sort of like the next Republican that they run might think twice about like some of the stuff that made him not appeal to these voters, perhaps.
Maybe, yeah. I like the fact that you have a person bringing up issues that no one else is going to bring up, especially in some of these smaller races. If you can get a three-way debate instead of, obviously for president, it's the LP, the Libertarian candidate's never really up on the stage. But at the local level, you might go and you might see, League of Women Voters or whatever could have a forum. You can actually have multiple candidates up there, and they can bring up topics that the major two parties are never even going to discuss. They're never even going to bring up. So I like that.
Even at the local level, though, they do some sort of sneaky things. There will be a debate scheduled where the Libertarian is invited, and if they come and accept, then the Democrats and Republicans will cancel, which forces them to reschedule for a date in which the Libertarian candidate can't be there.
Yeah, I mean they do some underhanded things for sure.
It's politics, man. God, they run the system, the Democrats and Republicans, man. It's fucked up, man. The stuff they do, and I think the debates are so important. I think because we're now in a culture where if it's on TV, that's what I see, and if when you have how many people watched the last debate between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump? How many people would you say?
I don't know, probably a good amount.
Imagine if there was a Libertarian up there as well.
Yeah. Like,
that's so important. So I really, really was like I agreed with Gary Johnson about with that lawsuit that he was filing, because it's so important, because I think that's where you reach most people is on the national stage.
Yeah, you become an option for sure.
Yeah.
So, speaking of the Libertarian Party, this week Jacob Hornberger announced that he was going to join the race for the LP's presidential nomination. I was excited about this because Jacob Hornberger runs the Future of Freedom Foundation, and he has had a podcast with one of my favorite guys, Richard Ebeling, who's a Mises guy. So, he's very principled, very smart. He knows his stuff. And anyway, I don't know how he's going to do as a politician, right? It's one thing to be an intellectual, an academic, even host a show or something, a podcast. But
dude, I gotta say, like, I like the guy. I like what he says, but he does come off like kind of boomer.
Okay. Yeah.
I know why people say that about him. Because
because he sounds like a boomer, dude.
No, because he's from Virginia,
I think,
so he's got that little country twang.
Isn't he boomer? Like technically, like when he was born.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think he might fall in that category. Pretty sure.
That's not necessarily like that doesn't disqualify him. I mean,
maybe it does in 2020.
Yeah, but
I don't think so. I mean, you look at the front runners right now. Trump's in his 70s, but Biden's in his 70s. Warren, all these people are ancient. Biden's talking about what was he talking about? Like record player. Remember he was talking about like to go home and listen to the old gramophone or whatever.
After fighting Corn Pop.
Yeah, Corn Pop. Yeah.
What about Vermin Supreme yelling "Okay"?
Okay, Boomer. Yeah.
In New Hampshire, I think it was.
I heard about that.
And then Alex Jones showed up at a Hillary Clinton, I guess, rally or something in a tank. It was.
I wasn't sure if that meme was real or a satire.
No, it was real. It was real.
Who did that?
Alex Jones.
Oh, he's nuts.
But yeah, I love Hornberger. I think he's awesome. I think and he's a minarchist, Kyle. So.
Yeah, which is really important.
That's why Kyle really likes him.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the right philosophy, and that's at least on paper, what the LP is supposed to represent.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Well, what about that one dude who walks around and he wears like the really big hat?
That's Vermin Supreme.
No. Taxation is that. Yeah.
So, yeah, we've got two people running for our presidential position who are like wearing like ridiculous hats.
It's kind of embarrassing.
Which I don't like, but some
like it.
Some libertarians like it. I just think it makes us seem like less serious in it, and it takes away from all the other candidates on the stage because it just looks like you're just joking around. It looks like you're just a joke. So I don't think people will take them seriously.
I mean, so the people that are wearing the hats, I guess, are they just trying to convey that they think the office is a joke?
Well, I think both of them think probably, that, yeah, but Vermin in particular is a known political satirist or clown.
Kyle, the office is kind of a joke, though.
It's not. I mean, it's really not.
It's a really horrible, dark.
It's
dark
a really,
comedy
it's a
joke.
really powerful position, and Trump has a lot of actual real power. He could change our foreign policy. He changes our tariffs. He changes tax law. He does all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, you could call it a joke, but
Starves
it actually really has a major impact on reality.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of non-voters say that they would vote for Vermin Supreme. So he's attracting a lot of non-voters to the Libertarian Party who may consider, because of him, voting for whomever the Libertarian nomination is.
So you really think somebody's going to say, like, I registered to vote for Vermin Supreme?
I have seen that, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Crazy.
Yeah, so I think we need to focus more on non-voters because most Republicans are never going to change their mind, and most Democrats are never going to change their mind. So I feel like we should be going after non-voters. And I was a very big pragmatist when I first came to the party, and now I really enjoy the Vermin Supreme side of it.
Well, there's also that argument: don't go after non-voters because they don't vote, right?
Yeah.
Well, the idea is to make them voters, right?
Well, yeah.
They're not principled non-voters. That's the thing. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't go after like a principled non-voter. Like, I wouldn't be trying to convince John Vibes to like vote. But like the guy that's just sitting on his couch, that's like, I don't really like any of these Republicans or Democrats. I'm not gonna bother going out. If you can be like, hey, dude, there's this other guy or girl that has some like better and cooler ideas. Like, maybe you might be interested. Possibly you could win those people. And if he's wearing like a cool hat, that might help.
You could be like, hey, there's this other gender fluid candidate.
I know, but I think those people are few and far between. Whereas, look at like 2008 Ron Paul. Like that just, that got a bunch of people that were enthusiastic, and he didn't need to wear a silly hat. He didn't have to literally change his name to taxation instead.
Did Daniel Berman do that?
Yeah, he literally changed his name. That's what I heard. He literally changed his name.
I mean,
he's legally. Change his name.
Dude, right? This sounds like this has been kind of tough for you.
No, I just think there's like the message itself isn't pragmatic. Like the message itself is radical. So you don't really need some guy wearing a silly hat promising free ponies to sell the message. And I Vermin's cool. Like I know where he comes from, and I'm not like against it, but I just think there's a little too much of it going on in the Libertarian Party, which I think could be quelled down a little bit. But I mean, I love funny things, and
Well,
something
Berman's
makes
not a libertarian. He's not. I mean, I don't know what his serious. I tried to have a serious conversation with him at a convention one time, and he wouldn't break character. We were like at the hotel bar. It was late.
What's his character?
His character
He's an
is
insane person.
a guy with a boot on his head that's gonna.
Oh, Vermin Supreme.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about.
Give everyone free ponies, and I forget what this other thing is. Something about toothbrushes or something.
Yeah, it's a write a law mandating everyone brush their teeth.
Which is ironic because he had pretty bad breath, but anyway.
I mean, he does look like he is a hobo, so.
I was just like, okay, dude, you're just here to clown around. And,
so, like, you couldn't even, he didn't drop the act and just have a convo with you?
No. I mean, a little bit I thought he was for a minute, and then it just went right back into, he wouldn't really, I was like, I don't know if you're like an ANCOM, an anarchist. Like, I was really trying to figure out where he was coming from.
I was going to say, I didn't think he was a libertarian when I first heard of him. I knew he was, like, an anarchist of some type, but he didn't come off as, like, a principled libertarian or anything like that.
Yeah.
So maybe he's just like, oh, this is a place where I can kind of get a platform.
I think he's just a troll. He's just a character, a clown,
Yeah.
So he's making fun of the whole political process, and I mean, it would be funnier if he was making fun of Republicans and Democrats, but I feel like when he joins the Libertarian Party and starts representing libertarians, he makes us look like clowns.
I think, it comes off a little bit like that. I don't think that's his intent, but I think it comes off that way a little bit.
Okay, well, also this week, we're talking about elections. There was, Maj Touré lost in Philly, correct?
Yeah, kind of got crushed.
Mm-hmm.
I heard 14
out of 17
place out of 17.
Yeah, there was a hugely underestimated. There's this party. It's like, I forget what it's called, but it's some crazy radical Democrat party.
It's 3 letters, right? I looked.
It's like something like
RFP or something like that.
And apparently, like, they dropped millions of dollars into that campaign or something crazy amount to that, and they garnered like so much, and they came in like 3rd place, and there's all these.
They only got one guy I thought elected. I thought it was one person, but they got elected. But I looked up their platform, and they're basically just Democrats.
Right? Yeah. That's essentially what it is.
Okay.
And I think it was by design, and I think it was grossly underestimated. But I mean, Maj was out there on the streets. I mean, you can't do more than what Maj was doing. Like, you couldn't do more. He was out there like almost every day. I mean, the level of dedication he had to his campaign was so awesome. I mad respect for that, because what he says and what he comes off as is so genuine. Where it's almost, he's so genuine that it comes off as he's being phony almost. If that makes any type of sense. I think when you first hear him, like, okay, this guy's playing a part, or almost, but no, like, he was on the podcast here, and we got to talk to him with the cameras off, and we were able to just have a normal conversation. And this level of dedication was in him, and like, it wasn't something he was faking, where it might come off that way. And it sucks because now there's more drama going on with it, because I think we talked about this a few weeks ago, but he called out a donor of the Libertarian Party who rejected or to fund his campaign or whatever, but he didn't name drop him. But the guy in the comments, the guy Chastain, I think is his name. You guys might know him more than I do, but he replied back to Maj saying, yeah, pretty much outing himself, where Maj wasn't naming names, and so then he called him cockblower. I think that's what Maj called him, and it just got heated. It was just a heated argument, just whatever. And I've heard worse things said, by the President of the United States, be said. And so now so he was the keynote speaker for the National Party, the convention, and they're trying to take it away from him. And they voted this week to take away from him, and I think they lost, but now they're going again and changing the rules to get him taken out. And I think a part of that, there's some other connections here that we'll probably talk about at the Mises Summit that was held over the weekend, where I think what they're trying to do now is to get Maj out. And from the sound of it, it comes to me like almost like they were doing this underhandedly. They asked, so Sarwark asked Ron Paul to speak at the convention, and it almost try like a bury the hatchet type of thing, where Sarwark went to, I think it was in Lake Jackson, Texas, at this Mises Summit, and he went there, and he's not in friendly territory there, and he went there personally to ask Ron Paul to come to the convention, which he would probably get the spot if they kick out Maj, which this is being championed by guys like Andy Craig and Chastain. They're all trying to get Maj out from talking, and
but they're not Ron Paul haters.
They are, but I think they would rather have Ron Paul than Maj because
I don't know about that.
I don't know about it either, but it's way too convenient. The dots are connecting to me. And I don't have any much proof. It's just something that to me, I'm making my assertion.
Another baseless assertion.
Yes, that's why I come to Assertion Basement to do this.
Why was Maj selected in the first place? What did he do to warrant keynote speaker status?
He made a name for himself, man. He DIY'd himself to a position of recognition within the Libertarian Party because he joined the party to run for as a candidate. And I think his Black Guns Matter did tremendous, and excuse me. And I think with that he just made a name for himself. So that's why he got this. And I don't know the circumstances behind it, but I know that there's some voting now where Andy Craig is leading it. He's trying to get him out because what their excuse is now. Someone went back and looked at old tweets from Maj where I guess he was saying some type of homophobic slurs or something, not in any sense like hating gays. He was just like throwing it out there, calling something.
Well, didn't you say he just used cockblower? Isn't that kind
of? Yeah, it was like that. Like he wasn't like I hate gay people. He wasn't saying that, but he was just like dropping, like calling something faggy or something. I don't know. They're out there. You can go look at it if you want to.
Yeah,
if you feel the
kind
need.
of mess up to invite him and then disinvite him.
Right, that's a huge thing. And he said he'll leave
that, but I'm not sure I would have invited him to be the keynote speaker in the first place. I mean, if he had won his election or something, then at least you get an elected.
Yeah.
But I mean, he came in near the bottom. So.
But I think he has an interesting. The whole Black Guns Matter thing is very. I mean, it's very interesting and unique, and something that would be an interesting a keynote presentation.
Yeah, totally.
It's
he's somebody that just defies the stereotype
right.
of libertarians being white males.
Right, and it's and the fact that he's going into these areas, these urban areas, which probably most of those people have never probably even heard of the Libertarian Party, and he's going in there and bringing the message to them, and then also promoting gun education, gun rights. So I mean, I think he makes an interesting keynote speaker. I mean, yeah, sure, it'd be great to have Ron Paul there, but we've all heard Ron Paul 1,000 times. It's not to shit on Ron Paul, but I'm just saying.
Why do you hate Ron Paul, man?
But I'm just saying, it would be interesting to have somebody. It would be interesting to have somebody that's unique like Maj there. So I can see why they pick him, but I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and Maj is really pissed about this, and rightfully so. I mean, you invite somebody and then just to disinvite him because someone dug up tweets and he
was it Shipley who dug the tweets up? Because the original post I saw was his, and it got shared.
It was of course, it's the usual suspects. It's Adam Bates, it's Andy Craig, it's Shipley, it's all those guys and they all work together.
I mean, how could you have such so little of a life that you can just go and I mean, he probably has 1 million tweets on his timeline. Just to scroll all the way back to
these are 2012.
Did you see that Shipley announced he's running for chair?
Yes.
Oh God.
And
really?
Yeah,
because he hates Sarwark now.
Yeah,
right?
the lapdog bit back. That's all that was.
What happened to his boy Matt Kuhnel?
Kuhnel's done.
a PSA member.
No, he's out of that too.
Really?
Yeah, they kicked him out of that. I'm pretty sure. They don't even like him.
He kept saying he was going to kill people, so...
Yeah, because he's a tanky. I'm even the DSA is no, we're not that tanky.
This guy's too crazy.
Yeah, we want... He said he's done with politics and forever. That's what he said.
He did give a nice speech at the
I'm sure
at the LP convention I went to. He was very humble. He was I know I'm not the most popular guy here, but appreciate the opportunity and everything.
Because you're a fucking communist.
I know.
Literally.
Well, I mean, it was a nice speech anyway. I met the guy. He had $1
Kyle,
million on him.
I didn't know who he was at that time, and I was like,
"You're lucky."
Seems like a nice guy.
Yeah, except for I won't get into it. But anyway,
wait, James Weeks hosted a debate. Did that happen already?
I don't care.
It was Orleans or something, but Orleans, New York.
I don't know.
He hosted a debate?
An LP presidential debate. I can't remember if it happened or not.
Did you get naked this time, or did you keep?
No, but he was the moderator. He
Oh,
was like
cool.
selected as
Good
the
for him.
moderator. I'm like, how do you pick an ANCOM or whatever you want to? I mean, he's to be like your moderator for a libertarian.
Why would you
page.
show up?
And
Like,
the guy that embarrassed the party on national television, I'm just like, whatever. Okay. It's just it's like one thing after another with the LP where I'm just like, this isn't good. This isn't a good look.
Yeah.
Then they had the one guy, and I'm sure he's a perfectly nice guy. The LP featured him. He was one of the people that won this week. They posted his picture on the national page. I'm like, congratulations to this guy for winning. And I click on his profile and I swipe one picture over, and he's like a vampire. It's like he's got the.
oh yeah, that guy.
Is it a
Oh
Halloween
Jesus.
costume,
Yeah.
I don't
saw
think
it.
it's a Halloween costume.
No,
I think
he's
he's
like a goth kind of
He's
kid.
like a
Yeah,
goth kind of guy.
yeah.
And like the next picture was like a nude statue with some sort of binding around it, bondage or something. I was just like,
oh, that's why you made that. I saw that comment you posted. It was like on Joshua Smith's thing where he was like, or no, it was a libertine social media making fun of.
Oh yeah,
Josh Smith.
That was just. Fucking, I love Josh, but that was hilarious.
Yeah.
The way they called him
Yeah,
out.
then your comment was like, wasn't one of them a vampire? Like,
Yeah.
it was like, what?
Because they made fun of him because if anyone saw, he made a post saying
They won like
about the Kentucky. They won 42, and then someone commented underneath out of how many, and he goes, I don't know, and they just laughed. It was so funny. They were just
42
trying.
candidates elected, and I first posted on Josh's thing, and I shouldn't do it. You want to be positive. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. But I
Yeah.
was kind of like,
Fuck that.
what are these offices?
Right.
These 42 offices. It's like
Yeah, one of them was like a
school board
mayor of like a town of like
No,
1,000
don't say
people.
that. So you're always talking about how we need to start small, we need to start local, and these people are getting elected locally, and you're like, fuck you too.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
What is that?
I immediately felt bad, and I was just like,
One was
I
a
apologize.
DA
I
though.
was like,
One was a district attorney.
Yeah.
All right, that's
That's pretty
That's
big.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely good. I mean, it's not a bad thing to be winning, even if it's just like a little tiny like, PTA council seat
Yeah.
or whatever.
And some of it was.
But whatever. I mean,
But,
it's still
yeah.
a win.
But going back to we talked about Jacob Hornberger, but since he officially announced he was running, that brought in Scott Horton. Scott Horton officially joined the party.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so that's awesome because Scott's like a personal hero of mine.
Fuck yeah.
All right. So speaking of joining, Bloomberg
Yeah.
joined the race for
Nice.
the Democratic nomination. Millionaire.
Dude, you're killing it with the transitions
Yeah.
tonight, man.
Speaking of joining.
Yeah, I don't know. Bloomberg is 77 or something like that.
Yeah.
Getting
He's
up there.
He's a billionaire.
Yeah.
So
But
we're at like $50 billion.
I think he's nervous, and I think the Democrats in general have got to be getting nervous, going, are these candidates really strong enough to beat Trump? I don't know that they are.
Well, I think part of it is the Democratic Party status quo guy is Biden right now, and they just see him just like crumbling. Like the guy can barely say like 5 words without stumbling over himself, and his eyes like bleeding on stage.
Right.
So like they're probably like, "Fuck, we got to get somebody else who's gonna
The adrenochrome
maintain."
wears off.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to get some young guy in here like Bloomberg to really.
Well, I
I mean,
Yeah, I don't know why they would go with Bloomberg, but
he's got money.
I mean, he's got money, and he's got the history of being a mayor, the mayor of New York, I guess.
Isn't he like Bernie, one of those sort of like in and out of the Democratic Party, independent kind of guys? Is he really like a?
Didn't he make like huge soda taxes or he, like,
Yeah, sugar
banned
tax, yeah.
sodas or something? He's like mega status, dude.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about his party
Yeah, he's
affiliation.
fucking terrible.
I thought he was an independent, but he's like Bernie's an independent.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why he'll never get the Democratic nomination. They won't let him. Same way they were mad at Ron Paul. If you run,
I mean, I think
if
it's more than
you
that, but
govern outside of the party status, but then you try to run for the party for president, they don't like that. They don't like that at all.
Well, I mean,
I think that really was a big issue with him in 2016 for Bernie Sanders.
they didn't like Trump either, and he just bulldozed his way on
Yeah,
through with popularity.
Trump
so
was
if
a
you have the votes,
fucking-
you have the votes.
Until they rewrite the rules, and then
Yeah,
you
but
don't.
yeah, until they start.
Again,
Would you hear they're gonna?
but Mitt
Well,
Romney had way more votes than Ron Paul. The Paul delegates had gone in under other candidates.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, man, I think they went after Trump went after Ron Paul because he was anti-war, and I think they just go after Bernie because he's not like.
Oh, I think that's definitely heavily a part of it too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're not a fan.
I think with Ron Paul, it was really mostly the anti-war thing.
Yeah, but I think there's also part of it is like, you're not really one of us. You're not. You haven't brought more people to the Democratic Party. You didn't bring people to the Republican Party, and that matters to a lot of higher ups in the.
But I mean, he did though, because I mean, I registered as a Republican to vote for Ron Paul.
Yeah, it's very cliquey though. Phil's, that's what you're saying, Phil. It's like a clique or a club,
right?
And he's an outsider. He was not in the inside.
That's the way it's always looked to me. That's the way it sounded like. You got to be part of the club, man. Like I talk about that paywall. I think that's what Bloomberg's doing. He's trying to get past that paywall so he doesn't have to give up any of his money. When all these new taxes roll in from one of these Democratic nominees if they win, he's trying to get past that. Because if he goes out, because he's going to have to put a significant amount of money towards the Democratic Party if he's not already doing that now, which he probably is. But I think there's also an element of like, okay, try to help us. Someone try to help us beat Trump. And heaven forbid, Trump loses. Well, I don't even care if Trump loses, really. But for lack of a better term, if he doesn't win and say Bloomberg wins, he got past the paywall, and that's all that matters for these guys that were that rich. These rich, he's worth like $50 billion. Like that's crazy amount of rich. We make fun of Bernie Sanders for being a millionaire.
Bernie, we could cure homelessness with that, right?
Well, Elizabeth Warren.
I think he said with $100 billion from Bill Gates, we could cure homelessness.
Yeah.
And then being libertarian was like, okay, that will bring our spending from $4.1 trillion to $4.2 trillion. And it's like, we couldn't cure it with those first 4.1 trillion, but this extra 0.1 is going to do it,
right? I mean, think about it. Elizabeth Warren's plan for universal health care is going to cost $52 trillion in the first 10 years.
Oh, geez.
Like, that's their numbers. That's their numbers so far, and that's okay.
That's fine.
Yeah, what's wrong with that? Yeah. So, it's so fucked up, and he's just trying to get past the paywall. So he could be exempt from all this bullshit if he's not already in that status so far. It looks to me, Bloomberg joining is like a sign of desperation. That's Democrats.
What I was getting at earlier. Yeah. It feels a little desperate.
Dude, but someone talked me off the ledge, man. I feel like the Democrats gonna win against Trump.
They might.
I don't know. I got this feeling.
They definitely do.
Yeah.
I don't think elections are fair.
Well, for the most part.
Like even aside from all of the like party crap, I think like the voting booths. I don't think they're good.
The machines.
Yeah.
I don't trust machines.
Yeah, but I mean, so are you implying that they were rigged?
Yes.
Well, then why would they let Trump beat Hillary?
I think they had to play it close, otherwise people would have gotten really angry. They would have known it was fake, so they had to play it close, and they fucked up. But they won't fuck up again.
Could be.
Maybe.
Well, think about it. 19 people. I just read this story.
With the docs?
I got some docs. 19 people. I think this was in the Washington Post. Yeah, Washington Post. 19 people registered to vote in Virginia who died in 2014 or earlier.
Oh, really?
They got registered to vote. Now, apparently they didn't vote. They didn't vote, but they got registered to vote after they were dead. The closest was 2014.
That sounds like a miracle.
Well, I've heard some talk about
Praise me.
I've heard some talk about moving towards voting on your phone.
Oh, fuck that.
Which is just going to be the end of any sort of, like, at least farce at fair voting. I would say. I mean, because I don't even know how you would go about doing that. I mean, if you did it with, like, the blockchain or something, sure, but I doubt the government's sophisticated enough to do that.
I got a letter. I have to go to the MVA and register for this Real ID. Have you guys done that?
Oh, yeah. I did it all right.
They snuck that in on us. How'd they?
We had this conversation.
Oh, yeah, well, you guys didn't hear about when
I not here?
Yeah, I missed a few times.
When I got my Real ID. Oh, I can't wait. I'm so desperate. I want to know what he gets. Apparently, so I went in there. So,
you got here?
Okay, so I got mine done. I'll make this real quick. But when I got mine done, the guy behind the counter was like, "Oh, okay. Well, you don't have to renew yours for 8 years." I'm like, "What does that mean?" He's like, "Well, we run this through TSA first, and they determine how long. If you're out traveling the world or you're out buying lots of ammunition, they'll make it like a 4 or 6 year."
Oh,
he said,
okay.
"But he's like, you got a full 8 years." I was like,
Nice.
First of all, I'm kind of offended. I'm like, you must not have looked at my Facebook recently. But yeah, so I'm curious to know how long they give you. What if they give Kyle like 4 years or like a 2-year thing?
Yeah, I don't know.
That cracked me up.
But I mean, I was like trying to say like maybe they could tie that in with the voting or something like that. But I don't see that happening.
It's not because that's racist. Making people vote with an ID. That's racist.
Yeah.
You're such a bigot.
I saw some video where they interviewed a bunch of black people about their IDs. They're like, yeah, I got an ID. Like, why would I not be able to present an ID?
Yeah, I don't understand that at all. I mean, like, it's literally you don't even have to have a driver's license. You can just go to, I don't know. I guess you go to the NBA and just get like an ID, or go to your town hall or whatever the fuck it is.
Do you even have to present that, or I can't remember. Can you just tell them who you are?
I gotta tell them who I am.
And they got you on a list. It's like, these are the people that are registered in this zone.
Yeah, I guess.
You guys are just racist.
I'm just saying, it's not that hard to get a fucking ID.
Man, I got so many topics.
Oh my gosh.
I forgot to put
So
on
racist.
the board tonight.
No, guys, because African Americans cannot go to get IDs. That's and other people of color. They can't do that. Did you guys know that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Come on, man.
I think
I'm triggered.
I think you should need an ID to vote. I don't know. What do you think? No?
Probably.
Probably.
So, like, I don't think though. Like, what's the whole thing with like the real ID? I mean, it's like why are the same people? Why is it the same people that want the real ID want to make it so that you don't need an ID to vote?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that's what I don't know.
All by design, man.
It's like it just doesn't make any sense.
And the arguments are so flimsy. Like, literally, they'll say, well, you assume that these people of color have transportation to get to these facilities to get IDs and money to pay for IDs. I'm like, that's their argument. That's their main argument against the whole thing.
But yeah, the same people want to make it harder to get a driver's license, right?
Right.
Real ID. I mean, it's just.
Why can't that just be? Why can't they just get an ID with their food stamps? You know, like, I mean, if you're going to provide welfare, why can't you just also, hey, here's an ID too?
Because that might also be racist. I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, I remember Ron Paul opposing the national ID card and the move toward that.
Of
and
course.
I remember libertarians fighting that. And I guess we lost that battle.
Yeah, we did.
We Ron Paul proposing it?
No, fighting
No,
it.
fighting it.
Opposing the national ID card, and now here we are. This is the equivalent of a national ID, right? Real ID is federal, not state of Maryland.
You literally cannot travel through TSA without this.
Oh, so it actually becomes like a domestic passport.
Yes, it is. It's like and so these also same people are advocating that TSA is now used for trains, and even some highways have TSA oversight.
Great.
So think about that. Imagine being stopped and being like, well, you don't have a license to drive on this, even though you may have an old license. It's just weird. It's more government overreach, and it's creepy.
Yeah, it's Orwellian.
Very.
Very Orwellian.
Jeez Louise. All right.
Wow, that was an awful transition. Wow, come on, man. You were killing it. You're like, okay.
Okay, Boomer.
Yeah, okay, Boomer.
Okay, Boomer.
That's our next topic. Yeah, so what were we gonna? What was the?
Well, I noticed. Okay, so you invited me a few months ago to a group where we all pretend to be boomers.
Yeah,
and
that group went downhill fast.
It really went downhill fast.
I mean, it was hilarious when there was only.
Well,
here's the thing: there was like at one point, there was only maybe, and probably when I invited you, there was only maybe like 1,000 members.
Right. Yes.
And then somebody made like a Reddit post and like a Twitter post, and it just went viral.
Right.
And then all these people started joining in, just being like, just a weird sort of like anti-Trump. I don't know. It just wasn't that funny. It was just people just like posting like my cousin died or something like that.
Yeah.
It just wasn't.
It was
funny. Anymore.
Yeah. It was like there was a lot of funny things to it. There's just like
Yeah.
the way like old people type, because we've been using the term boomer memes. I was actively sharing them to our group for a while. Just because it was funny, because you see the stuff crazy things that older people like share and believe. But then I think over the course of the whole Greta thing, actually, Thunberg, I think that's made its way to the mainstream about the boomer and the old people who are selling us short of our future generation short. I don't know, fucking. So now it's turning to this whole anti-wealth and anti-older generational group, and now it's hit the mainstream where now like other politicians are calling older politicians okay boomer, That's the thing now they're saying, and it's now this leftist pejorative.
Yeah.
It's really strange. Well, I wouldn't say strange.
So
it just got co-opted.
You think the left is actually co-opting?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And using it to insult Republicans.
Yes. Yeah. That
could be.
Absolutely.
It could be a little bit of generational antagonism too between, I would say, millennials and boomers. It seems like Gen X is a little bit forgotten there. Matt,
they're still using
Matt
that.
is definitely Gen X. I'm on the tail end of Gen X. Phil, you kind of
okay. You're thinking, why don't you look these years up? Because I don't think I am.
81. Yeah, it is. If you're born 81, you're not.
No, 81's the last year
Yeah.
of Gen X. So if you were 80.
No. 80 was last year Gen X. 81 to 9.
It depends on what you read. I read it was 81.
Whatever. Yeah.
I just look at Gen X. To me, was a little more rebellious. It was like the grunge era. You grew up in the grunge era. That's when you were a teenager. Just sort of, you're not a boomer, but you were in this sort of like, I don't know. I'm trying to like put a good word on it. Punk. It's a little bit punk, I think. So millennials, they're.
I'm a millennial. Sure.
Yeah.
We're all millennials.
You may be
87. I was 87.
All right.
Yeah. Whatever.
Well, anyway, point
Doesn't
is.
believe how old you are.
I know, right?
Point is, okay, boomer. I think is millennials versus boomers kind of antagonism.
It's also Generation Z or whatever they call it. Like that's also a thing they're saying now. It's just a term. Which I think is funny because a lot of people who are now using that term are the ones that champion, hate speech and other types of. And I think this is very dehumanizing, language that's being said because it's very ageist and.
Oh no.
It is. It very is. How is it not? How is it anything but ageist and
I guess it is.
and dehumanizing? Because you're turning them now into collective when someone who now there are some people. It's funny. Like it was a funny thing to just like talk about how old people interact on Facebook. It was funny, and even some of the crazy political stuff they believe. But now it's turned into this like if you're anything right of Bernie Sanders, okay, boomer. Like that's
somebody
you get called.
Apparently, like William Shatner's on the warpath on like Twitter. And he's like, I saw him like clown some girl, she's trying to call him a boomer, and he's like, well, we lived through like wars, depressions, created a lot of wealth, like we did this, and this, and this, like what have you done? And she's just like, all right.
I saw a guy put like, you didn't create anything, you wasted all this money you were given by your parents. I'm like what? Like it's just very collectivist style grouping of people, together, and it's ageist, really. I don't know. It frustrates.
You offended?
No, I'm not offended. I'm not. I champion the term boomer. I just don't like the people who co-opted it and now just using anything that they don't like as boomer. Like
it was cool when it was just Phil.
You're against free. Yeah. You're against free education and free healthcare. Okay, boomer. Like what? Like no, that's not what that meant before. They took my pejorative away from me.
Sorry, buddy.
Wow, dude. We're really feeling for you.
It's like the meme wars that you were upset about last month. You were co-opting somebody else's memes.
Oh yeah, they were.
Now the shoe is on the other foot.
I was not co-opting, man. I was sharing. I was just sharing. That's all.
You say so, buddy.
You guys are a bunch of boomers.
All right. So, has anyone really been following this whole whistleblower story? There's a lot of talk about Rand Paul. There's a lot of talk about who this guy is, apparently. So this is the whistleblower that recorded. So did he record the call, or he
wasn't even in the room when the call happened?
He just heard about it.
He heard about it. It's gossip. Like I don't know how you can whistleblow gossip. I mean, I'm like the least of a Trump fan, but I'm not signing on to the crazy people who are too afraid to call him out for his war crimes, but want to call him out for saying mean things.
What was the phone call? The context of the phone call? It was Trump and Ukraine.
Yeah.
And he was what was he allegedly doing?
He was like, I want you to look into the origins of. Apparently, he's like, from what I heard, there's some connections between the start of the Russiagate thing started with Ukraine. Ukraine had a part of it. He also, someone told him that somehow shit. What's it called? The computers or the what is it? Not losing. Wow, I can't put brain fart.
Wow,
I forget the word. All right. Way to dehumanize me.
Can you describe it?
No, what
Yeah.
is the servers? The servers.
The
He was like, the
servers.
servers are in Ukraine, which doesn't make any sense at all. But anyway, so he was like, just pretty much, I want to know what your part is with the whole Trump, Russia Gate thing, and I also want you to look into, it would really help me out if you could look into the whole Hunter Biden scandal, being on the board of that energy company. Like, I want to know about.
So this
the
is
whole,
when he was president. He told them to look into Hunter Biden.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, I think, we've helped you out before, look at it. He never really said explicitly, yeah, you're not getting anything until you fess up or until you come forward and bring someone forward who knows about where Russiagate started, what their role was in it. And, I mean, yeah, it's everyone wants to drop the word quid pro quo on this whole shit. But isn't that any type of deal that you deal with? Is like, you do something for me, I do something for you.
Maybe.
And the thing is
I don't know why he's going to Ukraine and
because they did.
them.
They had some type of thing with CrowdStrike. Was it that like leftist? They're the ones who like looked into the whole. I don't know. I forget. The details don't matter about this and that part.
The facts do not matter.
I am
Facts
thoroughly
matter.
confused about the whole thing.
Right. So it's like he got some bad information. Was like,
Maybe I need to
look into Ukraine, and it was some bad. It was like, what does the servers being in Ukraine have to do with anything? That doesn't even make sense. But anyway, he was like, just look into it. And apparently there was also some wording that it made it sound like it was, but not really, because they released the transcripts of it, and that's not what was said at all. I don't know. It's just bullshit. It's like gossip. And at the same time, it was all about the they got several, $1 billion in foreign aid that we were going to give to the Ukrainians, and they eventually got it. Their main thing is it was held up for a few months, but then they got it. So what's this all about? It's just another thing to distract everybody from what's really going on.
Yeah.
It's just
I love how we
the
borrow,
derangement.
trillions of dollars, and it's like, but we, so we just give it to other. It's like we borrow
Right.
money to give away. When you're deep in debt, you shouldn't just be giving all this money away. But anyway,
Yeah, no one wants to look into
I
the.
had heard that Hunter Biden has like a $3 million a year gig or something.
Yeah, he was making
that,
like
which is,
he was making like $50,000 a month in this Ukrainian on the board, just serving on the board. And he has
which is
he.
like a political,
I have more qualifications than he does.
Yeah, it's a political kickback, obviously.
Right.
It's like all the money that goes to the Clinton Foundation for charity.
Exactly. And that's why there's just nothing to see there. And if you want to see something, how about the coup that was implemented in 2014 where Obama armed actual Nazis in Ukraine to overthrow the government? Like, no one wants to look at that. No, don't look over there. Look at this. They want to tell you the end of a story or one little small aspect of a story without telling you any of the information before it.
Yeah.
That led up to it. It's just such a distraction. And so now what's going on personally with us is I've been noticing maybe it happened like twice in our group in Punk Rock Libertarians where a post got removed for what they said, what was it, conspiring violence?
Yeah, like inciting
happened
violence or something. It happened in my group twice too. And apparently anytime this whistleblower's name is out there, but Facebook is trying to censor it, so anytime anybody makes a post that includes the whistleblower's name, it gets deleted.
Right.
I don't know how you take something that's out on the internet and say, "Oh, I'm going to put this genie back in the bottle." I mean, once it's out, it's out.
But guys, it's not censorship. That's a private company. It's not censorship.
Well, it is. Yeah, it's obviously censorship. But
No, it's not. It's a private company. Come on, Kyle. Get on the program. How annoying is that? You're not allowed to criticize something because it's.
I was just thinking the other day how
private.
Facebook is a friendlier, safer place than it used to be. I mean, people would get so nasty on there. And,
Still do?
Which
what are you talking about?
I'm just saying, compared to how it was, they've really cracked down. And I'm not saying this in a good sense. I mean, I prefer just the
says the
Wild
man
West.
who has like 5 groups like dedicated to trolling him.
Right,
know, right?
And it never was I like, okay, I can't handle this or whatever. I didn't try to get Facebook to crack down and take them down. I'm just saying, like, they've tried to clean it up and they've tried to, but I think it's detrimental. I think that they are too strict, personally. But I do notice a difference between today's Facebook and 10 years ago Facebook, personally.
Well, of course. I mean, you notice that with anything,
There's
any
so many
social
banned
media.
words, like you can hardly insult
yeah,
anybody
like
anymore.
honestly, like yeah, right. Like honestly, like I'm like half scared to participate in Facebook.
Yeah.
Because,
I got taken down.
Yeah, Phil got taken down.
It's fucking weird as shit, and they
It's
still
like-
won't tell me what I did. It's been over a month now.
Yeah, as far as I can tell, I pissed off way more people than Phil in my
Apparently,
my
I don't
time on
know.
Facebook. So,
Take on some meme lords, I guess.
yeah, like I mean, I'm amazed though because I've been in Facebook jail a ton of times and they didn't take me down. It's like what the fuck. So I'm literally I'm just like scared to say shit.
Right, I was in Facebook jail twice, and then I got the permazuck. I don't know. And they still won't tell me what I did. They still said I'm in limbo right now. Like, it's just deactivated.
That's like what they did with our page was. We tried to appeal, and they still haven't responded to your appeal, have they?
That was October 11th, 2018, and still
do
no.
not have the right to a speedy Facebook trial.
Nope. Nope.
Well, speaking of deplatforming, which this didn't make it on here, but I'm going to say it, was the PayPal thing with Stefan Molyneux.
Yeah.
Oh, I did, yeah.
God, insufferable people. Oh,
so,
God.
yeah, I saw you getting into it with somebody about this.
So many people.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm no fan of Stefan Molyneux.
Me neither.
I think he is legit, like, white supremacist. But it is a little creepy to have PayPal, take away your service just because of some stuff you're saying online.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it does set. I mean, of course, yes, they're a private company; they can do what they want.
But it's private; they can do whatever they want.
Yeah,
that's the argument I get told. They're a private company. You have no right to complain because it's a private company.
Which, that's not.
How dare you say it's censorship?
Right. I mean, look, if it's just him, it doesn't go any further, then I'm not going to be that upset about it. But the thing is, these things always snowball. Like, right before we got zucked, our page got zucked, it was Alex Jones, and then it was the Free Thought Project, which brought us down with them.
Mm-hmm.
Liberty memes,
yeah.
Police
so
the police gets taken out all the time.
What's that?
The police gets taken out.
Yep.
Yeah.
How's Cop Block?
Same thing. They get taken all the time too. Which brings me to this is a starting point. That's what I keep telling people. Like, it's only a matter of time till you look down the dissenter row of people who stray away from the mainstream opinion of anything, and eventually you'll find us, and we're on that short list. And it's gonna happen. It already happened to punk rock libertarians. It's gonna happen.
You guys get a lot of traction though. I will say, since I'm a moderator on the page, I can see like the shares, and it's like this week you reached 50,000 people or something.
But we used to reach millions of people.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
So I mean,
comparatively it's small.
It's small
For a page that
Before the dark times.
How many likes does it have? I'm not
I think we're at 7,000 now.
7,000 likes. It gets shared a lot, which is a credit to you guys and credit to the memes. Sometimes
prayers up to the
memes.
memes.
Just go viral.
Yep. And that's why they deleted me, because my memes were on point.
They were too savage, dude. They were too dank.
Yeah, they're very dank. Way to dehumanize me there, Matt.
Okay, so yeah, we're about to move on over to the After Hours program. If you want to gain access to the After Hours, you can hit us up over at patreon.com/punk rock libertarians and contribute a minimum of $1 per month to help keep the lights on down here in Anarchy Basement. So we also have t-shirts over at libertariancountry.com. If you type in the code PRL or the code PRL podcast, you'll receive a 10% discount. Actually I think they have now at Libertarian Country, I think they have a shirt that says Epstein didn't kill himself.
They do, yeah.
Yeah. That looks pretty cool. Yeah, so if you type in the code PRL or the code PRL podcast, you'll receive a 10% discount. And until next time, live free
or die.